What's up, guys? Barry Game here, back with some more Idle Heroes, and yes, we have another tier list. I don't know why I go through these phases where like I do no tier list, and then all of a sudden I just pump out like 4 or 5 different ones to help guys and girls out to play the game. And this time we're going to be doing something different. It's going to be Cores of Origin. Yes, Cores of Origin. Let me actually shift this over just a little bit because it looks like we're off-centered a little. There we go. We got it looking good. We're going to be talking about which ones are worth investing in and which ones really are not, because there's some that are like God tier if you have the hero, while others are just not that great. So let's just kind of go in order that I have these in the image files here. I'm missing one. So I have like there's one icon that I just don't have right now, and that's Phantom Defier Elena's, and it's really annoying me. We're gonna go and do that one last. We'll talk about that one very last on this list, but sadly, again, another one where we just don't have the image files for them just yet, so I do apologize. Let's start off. Which one should we go with first? I actually might have a temporary item in here that we can use for hers, even though it's not the correct one. So yeah, first off, I want to go with Scarlet Queen Hellora's. So hers is interesting. Like, it's not like super great, but it's also not really that bad. Essentially, when allies with Queen's Guard take damage, it restores them HP based on Scarlet Queen Hellora's attack. Meanwhile, increases their crit chance by 10% for 3 rounds, which can only be triggered 1 time for each ally every round. When an enemy takes crit damage, Scarlet Queen Hellor pursues them and attacks an additional time. It's a solid one. It's not really the one you want to go with, but if you have a queen, you have access to core, and you don't have a ton of other heroes, it can be like a decent one to go for. It's not super amazing, but it's good. Now, the next one that we have on this list is Holmes Young. Yeah, Star Alchemist Holmes Young, probably the best core because it's buggy way it works out. At the beginning of the battle, you gain 60 bottles of Immaculate Potion. Whenever an ally takes basic or active skills, it consumes 1 to restore them HP, so it gives tons of survivability, while also increasing their attack and armor for 2 rounds. When an ally releases basic or active skills, it consumes 3 bottles and increases the dot damage for the attacked enemy. That one's not really that big of a deal. And then when an ally dies, there's a 50% chance to inflict perceptual disorder on 2 enemies. And the way that this thing is bugged out, it makes it just the most overpowered core in the world. Will they ever fix this interaction? I don't know. We'll have to see, but it's definitely like the top one that there is. The next one I'm going to put way up here too, and that's going to be Starwingjara's core. This one here basically gives you an additional chance to CC enemies and restore energy. When an ally releases active skills, there's a 25% chance to restore them 30 energy and a 30% chance to restore an extra 30 points of energy while having a chance to inflict Petrify Lockrock. And then when they use basic attacks, has a chance to freeze them. This was the way to go in the early game of Void campaign. It was actually bugged for like the first month it was out, I think, where it actually did a higher chance when people use their active or basic attacks. So that was a really interesting thing. It's still a very good one. Would I put it at the very top? Probably not. Another one I'm going to put like in the B tier range is going to be Fairy Queen. Oh, sorry. No. This was Mystic Fairy Freya's. This one actually I would put up a little bit higher because you use Mystic Fairy Freya in a lot of different game modes, and this does give an advantage to your team. At the beginning of the battle and at the end of each round, Mystic Fairy Freya grants Pistol Essence to 1 random ally. Without it, whenever an ally releases a basic or active skill, there's a 33% chance to release the Pistol Essence, which grants it to 1 random enemy that doesn't have it. It increases attack by 20%, speed by 20 for 4 rounds for allies that have it. And then it will disappear when being released for 4 times. And the owner will receive a shield for 12.5%. So very, very strong. I'd actually kind of put it above the Jara one right now. It's got a lot of flexibility. It gives attack. It gives survivability. You use Mystic Fairy Freya in a lot of game modes. So it's definitely one to keep your eye on. Then we get to a couple here that I'm going to rank kind of low. The next one's going to be Asmidel the Dauntless. When an ally releases base attacks or active skills, summons the Heavenly Chariot pursuing the target, dealing 400% attack damage. Afterward, releases the ally's holy damage by 20% for 2 rounds. Or increases, sorry. At the end of each round, every stack of revenge reduces the all damage dealt by 4% for 1 round for enemies with revenge for up to 4 stacks. Like, it's interesting, but if he was a better damage dealer, I would definitely rank it higher. I'd actually almost want to put it down the bottom just because on top of it not being like a super defining team core, it's also on a hero that's not very relevant besides being a tenant. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave it down there. The next one I'm actually going to put up quite high as well, and this one is Lord of Fear Aspen's core. I love using this core. I don't know if I'm just overvaluing this, but I just love this hero in general. At the beginning of the battle, grants all allies 1 layer of Devil Armor. That's going to be very important because Devil Armor says for every layer of Devil Armor, it increases control immunity by 15% for 3 rounds. This effect decreases 5% every round. This has come in huge for me personally in Void campaign, making sure you're not getting CC'd because the enemy team gets to go first. It helps a ton. And then on top of that, whenever Lord of Fear Aspen defeats an enemy, it grants all allies another layer of that armor, which is cool. Beyond that, whenever an ally releases basic attacks or active skills against horrified enemies, Lord of Fear Aspen will additionally launch an attack dealing 400% attack damage, which is cool. That's fine. But the next part is what I really like. When an enemy is horrified, increases all allies except himself attack by 4% and damage reduction by 3% for 2 rounds. So those really stack up when you hit like an entire back line. I love the buff. I think it's really, really strong. I might be overvaluing this one, so just remember, I might be overvaluing it, but just so you know. Okay, now the next one is interesting. I'd actually kind of put it in the same tier as Scarlet Queen Hellor. This one is for Sword Flash Shia. When obtaining Impeccable Flow, grants Flow Incarnation to all allies, except for herself for 2 rounds. Again, things that do things for your whole team, usually pretty good. Flow Incarnation increases the owner's all damage dealt by 15% and reduces the damage taken equal to 80% of the owner's attack. So it's like a mini Augustus Magic Ball. It's pretty useful. The downside is we don't really use Sword Flash nowadays. Early game, yeah. Is it worth it though? I would probably say no overall. The next one I'm going to put into this kind of same category is the Vessel one that I was talking about. This one's pure survivability. During the battle, it restores HP equal to 600% of her attack to allies with less than 50% HP and grants them a shield equal to 50% of the amount healing with a 40% chance to clear all debuffs. It's pretty good. The downside of this is it's really hard in a lot of these game modes to not just immediately proc Unbending Will at 100% HP. When you're pushing later on, I mean, it's okay, it's decent. I've tried using it better all different times, but it's not that great. But it says after triggering the Core of Liberation 5 times during a battle, there's a 50% chance to inflict Silence Gag Order. It means she's like the last one on the battlefield, or you have people reviving. I'm just not a big fan of it. I don't think it's one to chase after. It's okay. It's okay. One I'm going to put down in the C tier is going to be Star Swordsman Mockman. As much as he is a good hero, I really don't like his core because it only takes effect when he's switching states. And honestly, if you're using Star Swordsman Mockman, you want him to kill in the first 2 rounds, maybe 3 rounds. You're not looking for him to be switching states. When he's in Star Ascending, increases all allies damage reduction. So that is cool. And it declines every round. When an ally takes active skills or base attacks, the ally launches a counterattack, which is again okay. Not a big fan of it. The Star Descending increases all allies crit chance by 18% and the effect of which declines by 6%. But again, the whole part of this says whenever switching between states, add additional skills. Man, don't like it, but I'm going to leave it at C tier just because he is a good hero and it does give stats to him. So that is something to consider. Now, Lord of Death Azrael's is cool, but it's still not very useful as an overall. Actually, I'd probably put it down the bottom. This is cool for my cheese team. You guys, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go look for Azrael cheese teams, like my PvP videos. It's fun, but basically it just says when an ally dies, you deal extra damage. Increases holy damage, control immunity, and speed when someone dies, and then he revives. I mean, he's not a hero you want to go for. It's not a core you want to go for either, so just stay away from it. The next one's interesting, but the hero kind of sucks, and that is Blood-Tide Queen Arania. At the beginning of each battle or at the end of each round, there's a 100% chance to inflict Black Kindling Ash on one target without it. When an ally takes damage from active skills or basic attacks by enemies that have it, you restore HP and grant a shield. So it's actually not that bad. I would actually probably put it like somewhere up in the B tier category. But again, you shouldn't really be building Blood-Tide Queen Arania, so I would say just don't do it. And the next one is Doom Terminator Vulcan. So this one's interesting. It's not that good. I'm honestly putting it down in the C tier with the Star Swordsman Mockman. It's weird that like the best 2 damage dealers don't get it. But this one really only excels and becomes really good, in my opinion, if you have another really big damage dealer. Because it says at the end of each round, grants 1 layer of secondary concentration ray for the 3 allies with the highest attack for 2 rounds and increases their armor by 25%. When self-releases basic attack, grants 1 layer of secondary magic explosion to 2 allies with the highest attack and reduces their dot damage. And then when releasing active skills, grants 1 layer of secondary freezing pierce for 1 ally and with the highest attack, and gives all damage reduction. All these things do things. So secondary concentration rate makes them do 1 to 3 times attacks of more damage. Each layer of secondary magic explosion does damage to armor, ignoring, and has a chance to burn them and all this fun stuff. And pierce, of course, has a chance to freeze. If you don't have another really strong damage dealer on your team, I'd say it's almost just not worth having. Like, in all honesty, it's not super great. It's okay, but it's not like amazing. But again, it's not really a core you want to go for besides stats for Vulcan, which is why I kind of put it in the C tier. My personal opinion on most of these, again, if you guys agree or disagree, leave a comment down below. I'm cool with changing these around on the next tier list if you guys persuade me in a certain way. And last, we have like a stand-in icon. You see this one? I don't have the actual item. You get off the list. Get off the list. Oh, I can't take it off the list. Okay, it doesn't go here, but this is for Phantom Devourer Elena. I don't have that little cool little bat thing, so I just grabbed any old icon. At the beginning of each battle, reduces the duration of any control effects inflicted on self and 2 random allies by 1 round. Different effects take place after each trick. The only downside of this is there is some RNG in it. Deception, there's a 50% chance to inflict a healing curse on every enemy, which is really cool. Memento Mori reduces all enemies crit by 10%, precision by 25%, which is cool. And Uprising reduces all enemies control immunity by 10%. When self reveals or initiates any trick, you get 1 layer of scheme. When you get 10 layers, you get absolute power. Absolute power restores 2600% of attack HP to all allies. Meanwhile, increases their attack speed, all damage reduction. It's really good. I'd honestly bump it up like into the A tier. Again, just remember this item here. It might be. I will put it at the end because it's a little confusing. This is Phantom Devourer Elena, and this is kind of what I think it should be. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of a breakdown, though, at least some basic knowledge about cores of origin. And I'd love to hear what you have to say. So make sure you guys take 1 second, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.